The envelope on the table is addressed to me, but my mother already ripped it open. $2.5 million, she says, her finger tapping the number. Grandma Rose's trust fund, unlocked yesterday on my 28th birthday. We're going to have such a comfortable retirement with this, Elena. My father's hand slams down on the document before I can reach it. We need to discuss how we're managing this family asset. Family asset. 7 years ago, these same people refused to pay for my insulin. Told me they couldn't spare $500 while I was dying. They chose exotic flowers for my brother's wedding over keeping me alive. Now they think they own the inheritance my grandmother left specifically to protect me from them. My mother just confessed to opening my mail. A federal crime. And she has no idea I'm about to use it to destroy them. Before we dive into this story of betrayal and justice, please subscribe to the channel. Let me know in the comments where you're watching from. And I'd love to hear your thoughts on this situation. Have you ever had family treat you like an ATM instead of a person? The persistent beeping of my Dexcom pulls me from sleep at 3 in the morning. Low glucose alert, the screen reads in harsh blue light. 58 and dropping with a downward arrow. I fumble for the juice box on my nightstand, my hands clumsy and shaking. The plastic straw crinkling loudly in the silence of my apartment sounds like thunder. I miss the opening twice before managing to puncture the foil seal. As the sugary liquid hits my tongue, thick and artificial tasting, a memory floods back, uninvited and sharp as broken glass. The cold dorm room floor against my cheek, rough carpet scratching my skin. The phone slipping from my numb fingers, clattering as it hit the ground. My roommate had taken it for spring break, leaving the room empty and silent. I remember the exact tone of my mother's voice through the receiver that night. "Elena, honey, we just can't do it this month," she had said. Her voice carried the same irritations she uses when the grocery store is out of her favorite wine. "We already put the deposit down for the flowers at Kyle's wedding. You know how expensive orchids are in Hawaii." There was a pause, and I heard her take a sip of something. "Probably Chardonnay. Your brother only gets married once," she continued. "Well, we hope just once, anyway." She laughed at her own joke. Orchids. They chose exotic flowers flown in from some tropical greenhouse over the insulin needed to keep their daughter alive. I remember trying to whisper that I was dizzy, that my blood ketones were dangerously high, that I could taste metal and my vision was blurring at the edges. But the line had already gone dead. She had hung up to go back to her tasting menu or her wedding planning binder. I don't remember much after that until I woke up in the ICU 3 days later. If my roommate Sarah hadn't come back early because she'd fought with her boyfriend, I wouldn't be here. She found me unresponsive, called 911, told them I was diabetic. The EMTs said my blood sugar was over 600. My body was eating itself, trying to survive without insulin. Diabetic ketoacidosis, the doctor called it later. Near fatal, he added, looking at my parents with an expression I couldn't read then. Now I know it was disgust. The sugar hits my bloodstream now, and the shaking in my hands begins to subside. I check the monitor, 72 and rising. Stable. Something I've had to become entirely on my own since that night in the emergency room. My phone buzzes on the duvet, glowing with a name I haven't seen in months. Mom? I stare at the screen, watching it vibrate against the fabric. The buzzing stops, then starts again immediately. A voicemail notification appears. I tap it, holding the phone away from my ear slightly. "Elena, pick up, it's an emergency," her voice says, breathless and strangely high-pitched. "You need to come home for dinner tonight. We have incredible news, absolutely incredible. Call me back right away." She doesn't ask how I am, doesn't inquire about my blood sugar or my job, just a demand wrapped in manufactured excitement. I play the message again while getting dressed for work. Buttoning my blazer over the insulin pump clipped to my waistband, the small device hidden but ever present. A memory surfaces, gentle and bittersweet, as I fasten the buttons. I'm 7 years old, maybe 8, and I've just been diagnosed. The world of needles and blood tests is new and terrifying. It's nighttime, and I'm supposed to give myself my first injection at home. My hands are shaking so badly the insulin pen rattles. Mom sits beside me on my bed, her hand warm over mine. "It's okay, baby," she whispers, her breath smelling like mint toothpaste. "Mommy's right here." "You're so brave, Elena. You're my brave girl." She counts with me, her voice soft. 1, 2, 3. The needle goes in and I barely feel it because she's holding me. Afterward, she pulls out a small sheet of stickers from her pocket. Gold stars that say, "My brave girl" in glittery letters. She sticks one on my hand, right over where I did the injection. "There," she says, kissing my forehead. "That's my champion." I still have one of those stars in my wallet. The adhesive long since dried out, the gold flaking off. I don't know why I keep it. Maybe as evidence that she used to love me. Or maybe as a reminder of what I lost. At the firm, the stack of files on my desk greets me like a wall of bricks. I work as a paralegal specializing in medical malpractice. A career choice that is absolutely no coincidence. My current case involves a class action lawsuit against an insurance company. They've been systematically denying coverage for chemotherapy. Patients with stage 3 cancer, treatable cancer, are dying because of spreadsheet decisions. I scan the documents, my highlighter marking phrases that make my blood boil. Administrative error, one section reads. Policy exclusion clause, another claims. Cold, bureaucratic terms designed to disguise the fact that they're letting people die. All to save a decimal point on a quarterly earnings report. Dr. Liam Mercer, the medical consultant for our case, stops by my cubicle with 2 coffees. "You look like you're planning a murder," he says, setting a cup down. Or perhaps a very aggressive deposition. "Just reading the defense's motion to dismiss," I reply, taking a sip of the black coffee. They're claiming that denying cancer treatment is standard industry practice, therefore not negligence. He notices the CGM sensor on my arm when I reach for a pen. The small white disc about the size of a quarter stuck to my upper arm. "Type 1? He asks, his tone shifting from professional banter to genuine clinical interest. Since I was 14, I confirm, waiting for the usual unsolicited advice. The suggestions about cinnamon, apple cider vinegar, or going keto. "It's a full-time job on top of this full-time job," he says instead, nodding at the files. Checking, calculating, compensating every single hour. Respect. His validation feels unexpected, a warm spot in a day that started with a cold memory. Most people don't understand that type 1 isn't about diet or exercise. It's about survival, constantly negotiated. My phone buzzes again on my desk. A text from Mom. "Don't be late. 7 p.m. sharp." Dad is making his famous roast. I hesitate, my thumb hovering over the delete button. But then I remember the word emergency in her voicemail. Curiosity, or perhaps some subconscious desire to see if they've changed, wins out. "I'll be there," I type back. Even as I send it, I feel a knot forming in my stomach. Driving to the suburbs after work, the houses get progressively larger. The lawns more manicured, edged with precision that suggests professional landscapers. It's a facade of perfection I know too well. My parents' house looms at the end of the cul-de-sac. The paint is peeling slightly around the window trim, a crack running down the garage door. They've been crying poverty for years, claiming inflation and bad investments. But I know the truth. They spent their retirement savings on Kyle's 3 failed business ventures. First, a food truck that never got the permits. Then, a cryptocurrency mining operation that lost money. Finally, a dropshipping company that went under in 6 months. And of course, that Hawaiian wedding, $30,000 for 100 guests. Destination required. I park my Honda Civic behind Kyle's leased BMW SUV. The X5 model, still shiny and new. Of course he's here. The smell of roast beef hits me the moment I open the front door. Rich and savory, mixed with rosemary and garlic. "Elena," Mom shrieks, rushing forward to envelop me in a hug. Her perfume is expensive, something French with notes of jasmine. "We're so glad you can make it," she says into my hair. "It's been too long, sweetheart." Dad stands by the fireplace, swirling a glass of scotch. He looks more cheerful than I've seen him in a decade. His face is flushed, his eyes bright. Kyle is already at the table, picking at the appetizers. Shrimp cocktail arranged on a bed of ice. "Hey sis," he mumbles around a mouthful. "Long time no see." The table is set with the good china, the Wedgwood set from Grandma's estate. The stuff usually reserved for Christmas or when the pastor visits. Something is deeply wrong here. This level of hospitality is a transaction, not a greeting. "Sit, sit," Dad commands, gesturing to my old spot at the table. The chair I sat in throughout high school, through family dinners that felt like interrogations. We have a surprise. He reaches under the table and pulls out a thick, creamy envelope. The kind, expensive stationery comes in. My breath hitches in my throat. It's a letter from First National Trust Bank, their logo embossed in gold, addressed to me in formal typeface. But the envelope is ripped wide open, the tear ragged and violent. This came today, Mom says, beaming as if she's presenting a birthday cake. Can you believe it, honey? Grandma Rose left a trust fund. She claps her hands together, herrings catching the light. $2.5 million, Elena. $2.5 million. I stare at the document, reading the text even upside down. It's the notification for a generation-skipping trust. The kind designed to pass wealth directly to grandchildren, avoiding estate taxes. It unlocked on my 28th birthday, which was yesterday. Why is this open? I ask, my voice deadly quiet. Oh, the mailman must have confused the sorting, Mom waves a dismissive hand. We saw the bank logo and thought it was about the mortgage refinancing. But once we saw the amount, well, she trails off, her eyes glistening with something that looks almost like tears but isn't. It's greed, pure and undiluted. Grandma must have been confused when she wrote this. Kyle chimes in, reaching for a dinner roll. She put your name on it, but obviously she meant it for the family. I mean, why would she give you millions and leave us with nothing? Because she watched you almost kill me, I think, but I don't say it yet. The words sit heavy on my tongue, waiting. I reach for the letter, but Dad pulls it back. His smile tightens at the corners, becoming something sharp. Now, Elena, he says in that patronizing tone I remember from childhood. We've been talking, your mother and I. This is a lot of money for a young woman to manage alone. You know you've never been particularly good with finances. I almost laugh. The sound catches in my throat, turning into something bitter. I manage complex litigation, files worth millions in potential damages. I budget for a chronic illness in a city where rent takes half my paycheck. I haven't asked them for a single dime in 7 years. Remember when you couldn't even budget for your medicine in college? Mom adds. Her voice drips with false sympathy, the kind that sounds sweet but cuts. If we hadn't practiced tough love back then, you wouldn't be the independent woman you are today. You should be thanking us, really. Tough love. The words hang in the air like a slap. Is that what you call it? I ask, pushing my untouched plate away. I was in a coma for 3 days, Mom. The doctor said I was hours from organ failure. And you learned a valuable lesson about responsibility, Dad counters. He slams his drink down, ice cubes rattling against crystal. Don't be dramatic, Elena. We did what was best for you in the long run. Built your character. And now we're going to help you again. We'll set up a family investment account, he continues, as if it's already decided. We can pay off the house, fund Kyle's new crypto platform, ensure we're all comfortable in our retirement years. Kyle nods enthusiastically, leaning forward. Yes, sis, my platform is going to the moon. I just need $100,000 for the initial liquidity pool. Maybe $150 to be safe. I look around the table at their expectant faces. 3 people who share my DNA but feel like strangers. They don't see a daughter or a sister sitting here. They see a walking ATM machine. A solution to their financial problems. A trust fund with legs. No, I say simply. The silence that follows is heavy and sharp, like the air before a thunderstorm. Excuse me? Mom's smile falters, the mask slipping, revealing the snarl beneath the lipstick. It's my name on the trust, I say, standing up. My chair scrapes against the hardwood floor. Grandma Rose left it to me exclusively. And considering you just admitted to a federal crime by opening my mail, I suggest you hand it over. Now. Dad's face turns a mottled shade of purple, veins standing out on his forehead. You ungrateful little brat, he spits. We raised you, clothed you, fed you, sent you to college. And this is how you repay us? By hoarding family money while your brother struggles? I grab my purse from the back of the chair, my heart hammering against my ribs. Each beat feels like a drum, loud and insistent. I'm leaving, I say, turning toward the door. Do not contact me about this again. If you walk out that door, Mom screams, jumping up. Her chair topples backward, hitting the floor with a crash. She knocks over her wine glass in the process. The red liquid spreads across the white tablecloth like blood, soaking into the fabric. We will sue you, she shrieks. We'll petition for a conservatorship. We'll tell the court you're mentally unstable, unfit to manage these assets. I pause at the door, my hand on the brass knob. I look back at the tableau of my family. My father, red-faced and furious. My mother, mascara starting to run. My brother, looking between them with calculation in his eyes. Do your worst, I whisper, and I step out into the cool night air. The drive home is a blur of tears and adrenaline. My hands shake on the steering wheel, making the car drift slightly. I pull over twice to catch my breath. When I finally get to my apartment, I double lock the door, slide the chain into place. Then I slide down to the floor, my back against the wood. My phone starts blowing up before I even take off my shoes. Facebook notifications, one after another. Instagram tags. Twitter mentions. Mom has been busy during my 15-minute drive. I open the app against my better judgment. My therapist would tell me not to look, but I can't help it. There it is, pinned to the top of her timeline. A long, rambling post tagged with 40 different people. Family, friends, church members, distant cousins I haven't seen in years. Please pray for our family during this difficult time. It begins. Our daughter Elena has come into a significant inheritance, but she refuses to help her aging parents who are on the brink of losing their home. It breaks my heart to see greed destroy a child we loved and sacrificed so much for. We gave her everything, and now she's abandoned us in our hour of need. The comments are already rolling in, an avalanche of judgment from people who don't know the truth. Shame on her, someone writes. Honor thy father and mother, the Bible says. Money changes people, another adds. So sad to see this. I always thought Elena was such a sweet girl. My Aunt Sarah sends me a direct message. I always knew you were selfish, but this is a new low. Fix this, Elena, before you destroy this family. I feel sick, a physical nausea that has nothing to do with my blood sugar. My hands are shaking again. It's the flying monkeys, I remember my therapist explaining once. The term for enablers that narcissists recruit to do their dirty work. People who attack on their behalf, believing they're righteous. My cousin Jennifer comments, "This is so disappointing. Your parents are such good people." Someone I went to high school with writes, "Wow, and I thought you were nice." The pile-on continues, a digital stoning. I throw my phone onto the couch and pace my small living room. 5 steps one way, 5 steps back. They're trying to destroy my reputation, mobilize social pressure to force me into submission. It's a calculated attack designed to isolate me, make me feel like the villain in a story they're writing. The next morning at work, I look like a ghost. I caught maybe 2 hours of sleep, checking my phone obsessively. The post has been shared 73 times now. Dr. Liam finds me in the break room, staring blankly at the coffee machine. The pot is empty and I haven't even noticed. You look like the defendant in a Lucine case, he says softly. Worse than yesterday. What happened? My family, I say, the words tumbling out before I can stop them. Everything spills out in a rush. They want my inheritance from my grandmother. They opened my mail, a federal crime. And when I refused to hand over millions to them, they started a smear campaign. I show him the Facebook post on my phone. He reads it, his brow furrowing deeper with each line. His jaw tightens, a muscle jumping near his temple. This isn't just a smear campaign, he says, handing the phone back. His voice has taken on a clinical precision. This is financial extortion through social coercion. And knowing what you told me before about the insulin situation, he pauses, looking me dead in the eye. Elena, medically speaking, depriving a type 1 diabetic of insulin is attempted murder. Not neglect, not tough love, attempted murder. They didn't teach you a lesson. They risked your life for a floral arrangement. Hearing it from a doctor, stated as clinical fact, snaps something into place. A puzzle piece I've been avoiding for 7 years suddenly fits. I stop feeling like a victim. I stop feeling guilty. I start thinking like a paralegal. You're right, I say, straightening up. My spine feels like steel suddenly. I don't need to win their love or their approval. I need to win the case. I go to my desk and open a fresh legal pad, my hand moving fast. Step 1, evidence. I call the hospital where I waste treated 7 years ago. Good morning, I need my full admission records from November 2016, I say to the clerk. specifically the diabetic ketoacidosis. Diagnosis and any social worker notes. There's a pause, the sound of typing. That'll take about a week to process, she says. Is this for legal purposes? Yes, I confirm. I'll need them certified and sealed. Step 2, the crime. I need proof they opened that letter intentionally, not by accident. I remember the Ring doorbell camera on my parents' neighbor's house. Mrs. Gable, who's hated my mother for 3 years over a property line dispute. I call her, my heart pounding. Mrs. Gable, this is Elena Cortez from next door, I say. I know this is an odd request, but does your camera capture my parents' front porch? Oh, honey, it captures everything, she says, her voice brightening. Your mother threw a fit about it, claimed it was invasion of privacy. But it's my property, pointing at the street. I need footage of the mail delivery from yesterday afternoon, I continue. Around 2 p.m. It's for a legal matter. She agrees instantly, eager to help bring down Linda. I'll send you the clip within the hour, she says. And Elena, whatever you're doing, I hope you nail them. Step 3, the trap. I need them to admit on record that they opened the mail knowing it wasn't addressed to them. I send a text to Mom. I'm ready to talk. Come to my office tomorrow at 2 p.m. Bring the original document. Her reply comes in less than 10 seconds. Thank God you came to your senses. We love you so much, sweetheart. Daddy and I knew you'd do the right thing. The hypocrisy makes me physically gag, but I screenshot the message, saving it to a folder labeled evidence. That evening, I'm sitting on my couch with a glass of wine I'm not drinking, just holding it, watching the liquid catch the light. My laptop is open to an old photo album I haven't looked at in years. Digital scans of family pictures from before everything fell apart. One photo stops me cold. I'm 5 years old, missing my front teeth. Mom is 35, her hair darker than, no gray. We're at the park having a picnic on aired and white checkered blanket. She's smiling, a real smile that reaches her eyes. Not the tight, performative smile she wears now. In her hands, she's holding a sandwich she made, peanut butter and jelly cut into triangles. My favorite. I remember that day, the feeling of sun on my face and grass under my bare feet. She'd spent the whole afternoon with me, pushing me on the swings until my legs ached. We'd collected dandelions, the fluffy white ones you blow on to make wishes. What happened to that woman? I wonder, staring at the photo. When did the mother who counted dandelion wishes turn into the mother who counted my inheritance? Another photo, my 8th grade graduation. Mom is hugging me, her face pressed against mine. Both of us laughing at something Dad said off camera. Her eyes are crinkled with genuine pride. My smart girl, she'd said that day. You're going to do amazing things, Elena. Amazing things. And now those amazing things are only valuable if they come with a $sign. I close the laptop, unable to look anymore. The next day, I set up the conference room at the firm. Marcus, my boss, a shark of a lawyer who knew my grandmother, agrees to sit in. Let's bury them, he says, adjusting his tie. He's in his 60s, silver-haired and sharp-eyed. Your grandmother was a formidable woman. She'd be proud of what you're doing. I place a digital recorder under a stack of files in the center of the table. It's small, no bigger than a USB drive, but it'll capture everything. My hands are steady as I set it up, test it, hide it. They arrive 20 minutes early, which surprises me. Dad is in a suit that's too tight across his middle, the buttons straining. Mom is wearing her Sunday best, a powder blue dress and pearls. Kyle is wearing sunglasses indoors, which would be funny if it wasn't so absurd. They look like they're here to collect a lottery check. Elena, darling, Mom tries to hug me, but I step behind a chair. Her arms close on empty air. Sit down, I say, gesturing to the chairs on the other side of the table. There's no warmth in my voice, just professional courtesy. Did you bring the letter? Dad tosses the crumpled, torn envelope onto the polished wood. It lands with a slap. Here it is, he says. Now, where do we sign to transfer the funds to the joint account? We've already talked to our financial advisor. I pick up the envelope with tweezers from a first aid kit, handling it like the evidence it is. I place it carefully into a clear plastic evidence bag, seal it. Why the theatrics? Kyle laughs, putting his feet up on the chair next to him. Just preserving the chain of custody, I say calmly, for the federal investigation. The room temperature seems to drop 10 degrees. So just to be clear, Mom, I continue. When you saw this letter yesterday, what did you think? I thought it was a blessing from heaven, she exclaims, pressing a hand to her chest. I saw the bank name and I just knew Grandma had finally come through for us. After all these years of waiting. But it was addressed to me, right? I pressed gently, clearly marked confidential and personal. Oh, who cares about the fine print? She waves her hand dismissively. I ripped it open because we are a family. What's yours is ours, what's ours is yours. That's how families work, Elena. I was so happy when I saw that amount, my hands were shaking. Got it, I say, making a note on my legal pad. And you, Dad, you agreed with this decision? Absolutely, he grunts, crossing his arms. I'm the head of this household, have been for 35 years. I have a right to know what financial assets my children are hiding from me. It's my responsibility. I glance at Marcus, who's sitting silently in the corner. He gives me a subtle nod. We have everything we need. Confession of willful obstruction of correspondence, knowledge, and intent. Actually, I say, tapping the file folder in front of me, there's one more thing you should know. Grandma Rose didn't just leave a trust. She left a codicil, a specific instruction added to her will in December 2016. I opened the folder, my hands completely steady now. I read the highlighted paragraph aloud, each word clear and precise. Because my son David and his wife Linda refused to provide life-saving medical care to my granddaughter Elena in November 2016, resulting in her near-death experience and 3-day coma, they are to be permanently and irrevocably excluded from any benefit, interest, or consideration derived from my estate, including but not limited to the generation skipping trust established for Elena Maria Cortez. The room goes deathly silent. The only sound is the air conditioner humming in the vent above us. Mom's face drains of all color, leaving her rouge standing out like clown makeup. Her lips move, but no sound comes out. That's a lie, she finally whispers, her voice cracking. She didn't know about that, about the hospital. She was there, Mom, I say, my voice arising for the first time. She visited me in the ICU while you were at the cake tasting. The one where you chose between vanilla bean and champagne flavors. She sat by my bed for 6 hours. She paid my hospital bill, all $43,000 of it. She saw the medical records. And she saw you, saw what you chose. A memory flashes through my mind, sharp as broken glass. Grandma Rose sitting in the uncomfortable hospital chair, holding my hand. I was barely conscious, drifting in and out. Your mother called me from Hawaii, Grandma had said, her voice tight with fury. She was at a luau when you were dying, Elena. A luau with fire dancers and roasted pig. She laughed when she told me about the orchids. Said they were worth every penny, absolutely gorgeous. I'd seen tears in Grandma's eyes then, but not from sadness. From rage, pure and cold. I'm going to make sure you're safe, she'd whispered, squeezing my hand. Even after I'm gone, especially after I'm gone. I'll build you a fortress they can never breach. Kyle sits up straight, taking off his sunglasses for the first time. His eyes are wide, darting between our parents. Wait, so we get nothing? He asks, his voice going up. 0? Not even a percentage? Not a single cent, I confirm, looking directly at him. But here's what you do get. I slide 3 thick packets across the table, one for each of them. These are draft copies of a criminal complaint to the United States Postal Inspection Service. Violation of Title 18, United States Code, Section 1702. Theft or receipt of stolen mail matter. It's a federal felony carrying up to 5 years in prison and a $250,000 fine. Dad picks up the packet, his hands shaking so badly the pages rattle. You, he stammers, his face going from purple to gray. You would send your own parents to federal prison? Over a piece of mail? You left me to die for a centerpiece, Issei, leaning forward. I plant both hands flat on the table, looking at each of them in turn. I think 5 years in a federal correctional facility is a fair trade, don't you? Think of all the money you'll save on housing and food. And the healthcare is completely free, so you won't have to worry about medical bills. Ironic, isn't it? Mom lets out a strangled sob and slumps sideways in her chair. She clutches her chest, her breathing becoming rapid and shallow. Oh God, she gasps, my heart, I'm having a heart attack. I can't breathe, I can't. Kyle jumps up, knocking his chair backward. "You're killing her," he shouts at me. "Look what you've done, you psycho." "Call an ambulance. Someone call 911. I don't move. Don't even flinch. I simply look at the door and say, "Dr. Mercer?" Liam steps in from the hallway where he's been waiting. He walks over to my mother with calm, professional efficiency. Checks her pulse at the wrist, then the neck. Lifts her eyelid, shines a pen light. Listens to her chest with a stethoscope for about 10 seconds. Then he stands up, pocketing the stethoscope. Pulse is regular at 68 beats per minute, he says clinically. Blood pressure is elevated, but not dangerously so. Pupils are reactive and equal. Skin is warm and dry, no diaphoresis. She's experiencing a panic attack with voluntary hyperventilation, but she is medically stable. He looks at my mother directly. "It's a performance, Mrs. Cortez." "A poor one." "Stop it, Linda," Dad snaps, the facade cracking completely. He realizes the game is up, that the sympathy play won't work. She stops gasping immediately, glaring at me with pure, undiluted hatred. He looks at me across the table, and for the first time, he looks old. Tired and old and defeated. "What do you want, Elena?" he asks quietly. "What will it take to make this go away?" "I want you to sign this," I say, pushing a settlement agreement forward. It's already prepared, printed on legal letterhead. It states that you acknowledge the debt you owe me for the medical bills Grandma paid. $43,000 plus interest. It states that you will never contact me, my employer, or my friends again. It creates a permanent no-contact order, and you will publicly retract everything you posted on social media within 24 hours. If you do this, if you sign right now, I won't file the federal charges. If you refuse, the postal inspector gets the recording of this meeting by 5 p.m. today. Your choice. Dad stares at the document, his eyes scanning the text. He looks at Mom, who has miraculously recovered from her heart attack. She's glaring at me with a look that could strip paint. He looks at Kyle, who's already texting someone, probably a lawyer who won't take the case. "Give me the pen," Dad finally whispers. His hand shakes as he signs his name on the line. The signature is barely legible, a scrawl. Mom signs next, her hand pressing so hard the pen nearly tears through the paper. She's weeping theatrically the entire time, but her eyes are dry. Kyle refuses to look at me as he scrawls his name at the bottom. His signature is angry, the letters sharp and violent. "Get out," I say simply. They stand, gathering their things in stunned silence. At the door, Dad turns back one last time. "You know, Elena," he says, his voice heavy with something like sorrow. "I used to be proud of you. When you got into that university, when you got this job. But now I just see a stranger. Someone who values money over family." "Funny," I say, meeting his eyes without flinching. "I was about to say the same thing about you." His face twists, anger and pain mixing into something ugly. He opens his mouth to say something else, but no words come out. He just shakes his head and walks out. I watch from the window as they cross the parking lot. Mom is clutching Dad's arm, her mouth moving rapidly. Even from 5 floors up, I can tell she's yelling. Kyle is on his phone, probably calling everyone he knows. They get smaller and smaller as they walk away. Eventually, they disappear around a corner and they're gone. Marcus claps a hand on my shoulder. "Brutal," he says, but there's approval in his voice. "Your grandmother would have loved every second of that. She always said you had steel in your spine." I sink into the leather chair, the adrenaline finally crashing out of my system. My hands start shaking, delayed reaction. "It's over," I whisper. "They're actually gone. For the first time in my adult life, I don't owe them anything. Not money, not explanations, not even guilt. The freedom feels strange, like a weight I didn't know I was carrying has suddenly lifted. 6 months later, I'm standing in a rented event space downtown. The room is simple but elegant, hardwood floors and tall windows letting in afternoon light. A banner hangs above the small stage, the Rose Memorial Foundation, established 2023. I used the first disbursement from the trust to set up a fund for type 1 diabetics, specifically those who age out of their parents' insurance at 26. The ones who find themselves suddenly unable to afford the insulin that keeps them alive. No one should have to beg for their life, I told the lawyer setting it up. No one should have to choose between medicine and rent. Liam stands beside me, holding 2 glasses of sparkling cider. He's become more than a colleague over these months. More than a friend, though we haven't quite defined what we are yet. You did good, he says softly, handing me a glass. Really good. How are they? He asks, referring to my parents. I haven't spoken to them, but news travels in small ways. I take a sip of the cider, bubbles tickling my nose. They lost the house, I say, keeping my voice neutral. The bank foreclosed last month after they defaulted on the mortgage. I heard they tried to move in with Kyle, but he changed his locks. Apparently, he told them he can't afford to support deadbeats. His words, not mine. Liam winces. That's cold. It's the ending they wrote for themselves, I reply. I tried to help them once, offered to co-sign for a rental if they'd apologize. They told me to go to hell. So I did nothing and watched them fall. It's a harsh ending, maybe even cruel. But it's not my cruelty, it's theirs, coming home to roost. I see a young woman in the crowd, maybe 18 or 19. She's standing alone near the refreshment table, looking nervous and out of place. She's holding a pamphlet about our insulin assistance program. Her hands are shaking slightly as she reads. I recognize that look instantly. The fear mixed with shame. The exhaustion of fighting your own body every single day. The terror of needing help. Excuse me, I say to Liam, handing him my glass. I walk across the room toward her, my heels clicking on the wood floor. Hi, I say gently, offering my hand. I'm Elena, I run this foundation. Can I help you with something? She looks up, her eyes wide and scared. She starts, then stops, her voice catching. I just aged out of my mom's insurance, and I can't afford my insulin anymore. I've been rationing, stretching my vials. But I'm scared, I'm so scared. She's crying now, tears running down her face. I've heard this story so many times in the past 6 months, but it never gets easier to hear. You're going to be okay, I tell her, and I mean it. We're going to help you. That's why we're here. I spend the next 20 minutes with her getting her information. By the time we're done, she has a 3-month supply of insulin guaranteed, free continuous glucose monitor, and a support group of other young diabetics who understand. She hugs me before she leaves, holding on tight. Thank you, she whispers into my shoulder. You saved my life. I watch her go, wiping at my own eyes. This is what the money should have been for all along. Not European vacations or failed startups, but keeping people alive, keeping them safe. The event winds down as the sun sets, painting the windows gold and orange. The crowd thins, people leaving with pamphlets and promises to donate. Eventually, it's just me and Liam, standing by the tall windows. The city spreads out below us, lights beginning to flicker on. You okay? He asks, not touching me, but standing close enough that I feel his warmth. Yeah, I say, surprised to find it's true. I'm actually okay. Better than okay. We stand there in comfortable silence, watching the sun disappear behind the buildings. And I think about my family, about the mother who used to count dandelions with me, the father who used to read me bedtime stories, the brother who gave me a teddy bear when I was scared. I think about who they were and who they became. Money didn't change them, I realize. It just revealed who they'd always been underneath. And maybe I'm better off knowing the truth. My phone buzzes in my purse. A notification from the foundation's website. Another application for assistance, the 3rd one today. I smile, pulling out my phone to respond. This is my inheritance now. Not millions in a bank account, though those are useful tools, but the ability to be the person my family never was. To choose compassion over greed. To value life over luxury. Grandma Rose knew what she was doing when she wrote that codicil. She wasn't just protecting my money. She was protecting my soul. If you were in my shoes, would you have offered them a settlement or let them face federal charges? Do you think family deserves a second chance even after a betrayal like this? Or are some bridges better left burned? Let me know your honest opinion in the comments below. And if you've ever dealt with family who saw you as an ATM instead of a person, I want to hear your story. You're not alone in this. If this story resonated with you, please hit the like button and subscribe for more stories of justice and survival. Thank you for being here.